ceasefire. DCEA seizes 14 tons of precursor chemicals, saving millions.
If cannot be intercepted, would have in the position to manufacture the illicit drugs of fentanyl and heroin.
Good evening, I am Faida Gaga. You can also follow us live via our YouTube channel, TBC Online. Also, get all the latest news through our Instagram, Facebook and X pages at TBC Online. The government of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC, and M23 rebels have released a joint statement indicating an agreement to pause fighting as they work towards a broader peace deal. The truce, which has been declared after a round of negotiations in Qatar's capital, Doha, has raised hopes that the latest wave of violence may begin to subside. The peace push, mediated by Qatar, comes after the Gulf state successfully brokered a meeting last month between Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi and Rwandan President Paul Kagame. Now, to discuss more on this new and encouraging development, we are joined live by a political analyst, Veturnus Niagira. Veturnus, welcome to TBC News.
Thank you so much for having me.
Could the announcement of this ceasefire be a sign of the end of the bloody fighting in the DRC?
Certainly not just like absolutely yes, but we can say that this conflict has a number of actors, and ceasefire is just one element of a critical diplomatic development. But yet, when you look at the nature of the conflict itself, and you look at the mechanics and the mechanism, we can say, around the M23 together with the Kinshasa government, there has been a lot of ceasefire, but they have been short-lived. So with this, I think if we involve many other actors in the process, it can lead to something positive. But currently, it is hard to say. Time will tell.
Let's talk about the Qatar talks. How unique or different were the Qatar talks? Because probably they may have a hand in this ceasefire, probably. So how unique were they?
First of all, you need to understand that Qatar has disrupted what we call a traditional regional way of diplomacy or mediation, which has been under Nairobi process, but also Angola process. So when you look at Qatar generally, is a neutral party where is not involved directly in the politics of Great Lakes regions, but also continental and regional blocs. When you look on ACE, East African Community, you look on SADC, you look on African Union, generally continental is not involved. That's one factor. But two, it is diplomatically positioning itself. When you look at the increasing growth of the interest of the Gulf states, is increasingly actually developing a sense of participating into African diplomacy and the regional conflict resolution. But all these have been facilitated by two factors: one, geographical and economic ambitions. You know that Qatar has invested much, over $2 billion in Congo mining or minerals, so it wouldn't like it to go. But also the global trend on politics, when you look at the U.S. kind of stance today on the administration, Trump administration, seriously you could tell nations which strategically want to position themselves globally needed to do some kind of a move. So it is repositioning itself and diplomatic repositioning of the world so that it creates a neutral and a fair influence to African politics. And you can see, for example, when you look at Europe, most of the European countries, their policies towards Africa have changed. You look at Russia, for example, you look at China, they had FOCAC the last time. And when you look at America, it's changing daily. So these nations which are growing economically properly, they are trying to reestablish and to have a change of mind in Africa. So generally, when you look at Qatar, that's what you can say, and that's what you can look. And number last, you can speak of security guarantees. You know what happened during the Caesar, the break off of the Angola discussion or Angola process, where M23 had to meet with the Kinshasa government. They pulled out because of what happened. The Europe sanctioned the major leaders of the M23, and there has been some kind of a round tape along the nations which are being involved. So when you look at all that, it provides security guarantees to these two people. The Kinshasa government vis-a-vis the M23 altogether makes it unique to be the mediator between the two countries.
So it's kind of the manifestation of the term that multipolar world, the fact that Qatar is also in that.
Exactly, that's the part of it.
So far, the EAC community with its member countries, how would you say they have been affected by the fightings? Specifically, let's talk about Tanzania, because not only are these countries geographically connected, but they're also culturally, economically, and many other ways. How have the member countries been affected?
When you look at Tanzania, for example, you know Tanzania does business with Congo. And so we speak of trade and trade disruption. And this has increased the trade and logistics costs towards the traders within the East Africa, because the routes towards the Democratic Republic of Congo has changed. When you look at Rwanda, you look at Uganda, to DRC, there has been with a shake-up of many things. So majorly on the issues of trade cost has been an issue. And when you look at our port now, it's paramount to understand that how many containers were being shipped to or cleared to Congo has gone slow down. And when you look at the road, for example, the heavy trucks going down there to DRC has been there's been a problem, of which you know when this crisis began, some of even the traders from Tanzania, the rolling truck riders, they had a problem. And this makes it so hard.
Now let's talk about solutions now. What can the EAC and SADC do to make sure, or to kind of be a starter or make this process, the ceasefire, lead to the end of the war?
And now we say Qatar has helped us at least two critical and strategic people to meet. The M23 with the Kinshasa government. That's one. But number two, I think East African community together with the SADC, they should now keep on a joint force on the number of things. Number one, they should participate largely moving from the concept of peacemaking to peace building, where now they go deeper to the issues of governance, they go deeper to the issue of democratization process and looking at the people's life, and actually they go to a sociological point of view. The Nairobi process comes to be now a stake, because the Nairobi process was moving, one, from looking at M23 with the government, but was going down into the actors of social development, of economic development, social development, and the political systems within the Congo, because that's what holds water. And you know the issue is much on governance, and it has to be looked on that side. But two, still we have another person in this conflict. We say the Rwanda, and when we speak of M23, the major Western media, they say backed up M23, Rwanda backed up M23. So still Rwanda is a critical party which needed to be settled too. So East Africa could now balkanize, make sure that it can be able to call up the two nations to sort their diplomatic problems, but also to deal with these two nations which are participating largely in the conflict of Congo. We have Rwanda, we have Uganda. ADF is still is in Congo on two levels. One, as an East African community force, but at the same time they have an operation called the Operation Shuja, which has been taking place. They have been together with the FADC, the armed forces for DRC, together with the UPDF. They signed a contract where they can be fighting these labor groups called ADF. So there are a number of things which needed to be captured and which needed to be actually concretized by the East African community together with the SADC.
Thank you very much, Paternus Niegira.
Thank you so much.
Political analyst Paternus Niegira. Security has been tightened in the Vatican as Catholics continue to bid farewell to the body of the leader of the church, Pope Francis, and prepare for his funeral on Saturday in Rome. Here are more details.
Thousands of Catholic believers are in St. Peter's Church in the Vatican to pay their last respects to Pope Francis as security is being tightened in the Vatican. Security officials in Italy say modern equipment will be used to patrol during the funeral of Pope, who has broken the norms of other previous leaders of his level by opting to be buried in the comparatively middle-class area. The country has announced that planes will not be allowed to fly in the airspace of the Vatican during the funeral of the leader. Meanwhile, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation of Tanzania has sent his condolences following the death of Pope Francis, describing the relations between Tanzania and Vatican to be historical.
Vatican have invested greatly in health sector in Tanzania, but also in education sector. The Vatican network has several universities through the Tanzania Episcopal Council and the Tanzania Church Network, schools, hospitals, but also through more than 126 NGOs globally, which are Catholic-related NGOs directly, being funded and supported also by Vatican. They've done a tremendous work in the development of our nation. There is a number of schools, a number of hospitals, number of universities now, which the technical people will provide you the specific numbers, but there are many.
Furthermore, Vatican Ambassador to Tanzania, Archbishop Angelo, has extended his gratitude to President Samia Suluhu Hassan and all Tanzanians for their messages of sympathy and comfort.
This is the very, very big expression of closeness and friendship between Vatican, the Holy See, and Tanzania. We have been talking about what's happening in these days, what happened, unfortunately, with the loss of our beloved Pope Francis. It has been a tremendous loss, not only for Catholics, since he was our leader, and also for the Vatican, since he was the sovereign pontiff of Vatican City State. But I mean, probably for all the world, for all people of goodwill, because he's been always a person trying to foster as much as he could friendship, fraternity, and peace among the nations.
Pope Francis' funeral will be held in Vatican on Saturday at 10 a.m. local time, with hundreds and thousands of guests and mourners expected to attend the late Putin's final ceremonies. Antonia Kivaria, TBC News.
The Commissioner General of the Drug Control and Enforcement Authority, DCEA, Aretas Limo, says between March and April 2025, the Commission has seized 14 tons of precursor chemicals that are being smuggled into the country for the production of illicit drugs, including meth and heroin. He elaborated that had these chemicals made it into circulation, they would have the potential to cause numerous deaths. Caroline Marrero reports.
Speaking to journalists in Dar es Salaam, Commissioner Limo emphasizes that the operation marks a major national achievement. He highlights the devastating impact such drugs can have on the economy through the circulation of illicit funds, as well as the severe social consequences, particularly among Tanzanian youth.
The
fact that they manufactured sweets containing dangerous high levels of THC is clear evidence of the malicious intent by criminals to target and run the youth, who are the backbone of our nation. These criminals also use drug trafficking as a means to raise illicit funds, undermine the country's economy, and sponsor criminal gangs with the aim of destabilizing nation peace. We want to assure the public that under President Samia's administration, every individual involved in drug crimes will be identified and brought to justice. We urge citizens to report any drug-related activities in their communities.
Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Investigation and Forensic Science, Domitian Dominic Mutayoba, explains further on the Commission's ongoing operations against drug trafficking across the country.
The period of March and April, we managed to prevent the diversion of precursor chemicals which is supposed to be entered in the country, about 14 tons of 1-4 pyridine and 10,000 kilograms of acetonide. Those chemicals, if cannot be intercepted, could have in the position to manufacture the illicit drugs of fentanyl and heroin. But acetonide can have a possibility to manufacture illicit drugs of heroin, mandrax, and methamphetamine.
In addition, the authority partners with the Prevention and Combating of Corruption Bureau to address corruption among border officials, a major contributing factor to the entry of illicit drugs into the country.
We have fundamental duty to fight corruption, especially because there are clear signs that corruption is being used to facilitate drug trafficking into the country, and taking action against any public servants involved in corrupt practices.
Commissioner Limo calls the public to remain vigilant and report any suspected drug-related activity for the country's development. Caroline Malewa, TBC News.
Now let's head over to the trade and investment sector, whereby the Minister of Finance, Dr. Mwigulu Nchemba, urges African countries to come up with strategies to boost intracontinental investment and trade to address the challenges of the changing economic policies emerging around the world. Here are more details.
Dr. Nchemba made the call in Washington, D.C., United States, while contributing to the annual report on the implementation of the responsibilities of the International Monetary Fund during the organization's spring meeting involving governors of the World Bank's African Group 1 constituency.
I think African countries, we should now learn to complement each other rather than being competitors. In most cases, I think we have maintained those trade businesses with the former colonials, the former colonial powers, than the way we trade ourselves, and that has in most cases made us like competitors rather than complementing each other, and that is the cause of these effects which we are feeling as for now.
Furthermore, he stresses on the importance of African countries to explore investment areas within the continent, including the construction of factories to manufacture essential human medicine.
The cost of doing business within the regions sometimes is higher than the cost of obtaining markets in other regions. So in any case, when there are shocks like these, we find ourselves in big problems. We find ourselves in our budgets affected, our economy is affected.
On the other hand, the chairman of the meeting, who is the governor of the Central Bank of Botswana, Cornelius Dikop, supports the idea, emphasizing the great need to process products within African countries, insisting that the move will be more productive than relying on trade outside Africa's borders.
If we are spending so much money buying from countries outside Africa, why can't we use that money to buy import from amongst ourselves? So that is the kind of thinking that we need to think about going forward. Some of us are losing markets outside Africa, but we could provide that market from within Africa, and we're not doing so.
Dikop stresses that current trade challenges around the world should be used as an opportunity to awaken the African continent to find ways to strengthen its economic system, as the continent has a large market and endless opportunities for investment and trade. Antonia Kivaria, TBC News.
Trade and marketing experts from the University of Dar es Salaam have called on African countries to open their borders for trade to ensure increased supply to consumers, reduce prices, and obtain better products in a competitive market. They made the call when they spoke to TBC News, insisting that the policy of hindering cross-border trade with the aim of protecting domestic producers is hurting the consumers in their respective countries and impedes regional cooperation. Here's a report by Ismail Bugda, read to you by Antonia Kivaria.
Earlier this month, the government of Malawi and South Africa imposed restriction on Tanzanian agricultural products entering their countries in what they call protecting local producers. The Tanzanian government in turn issued a statement to suspend the entry of all agricultural products from those countries into Tanzania, the aim being to protect the domestic trade. Professor Omar Mbura is a trade marketing expert, explaining the importance of intercontinental trade within Africa.
This challenge has served as a catalyst, prompting us to re-evaluate and explore new ways to expand our product market.
On the other hand, Dr. Cosmas Masanja says the only way to protect nature, agricultural producer, in Africa is for Africans to fully trade amongst themselves.
We need to look at specific strategies for some of our products, making sure they are positioned for the right markets. At the same time, breaking down trade barriers between East African and SADC countries would open up even greater opportunities for expansion.
Then they give their recommendation on the whole ordeal.
Protecting domestic industries must be balanced carefully, as overprotection can stifle competitiveness, restrict market access, and ultimately undermine both national economic growth and the sustainability of those industries. Freedom to trade internationally empowers citizens by increasing access to diverse products, fostering competition, and ultimately contributing to better living standards.
Now let's have a look at the innovation sector, where the growth of startup companies in Tanzania is cited as one of the outcomes of Tanzania's enabling policies in supporting innovation, even though lack of research and funds remain to be the main reasons which make some of the innovations fail to solve the challenges facing the society. Speaking to TBC News, some of the innovators urge incubation institutions responsible for nurturing innovations to increase the efforts, especially in providing education on innovative ideas. Peter Mganga has more.
Tanzania is one of the countries which embrace science and technology, but still number of innovators, they failed to identify some of the innovations which can impact the society and solve all challenges which found in the community. But what are the measures and strategies which should be taken into consideration to solve these challenges which found in the community through innovation?
As an individual, you'll find that the founder has not fully understood the problem. The founder has actually not crafted well the solution, and the founder doesn't understand the market well. So these things can easily be solved once you have the right mentor, you have the right hub, which is going to help you understand the problem, is going to help you craft your solution.
For instance, here at THASO Africa, we actually did a survey for over 2 months before we started our platform, talking to students across various universities, trying to understand their real challenges in finance and also in accessing various different opportunities. So that is one. Founders should make sure that they are solving real problems that are facing the community. But also they should collaborate with stakeholders. One of the main things that helped us to get where we are as a startup is we collaborated with universities, we collaborated with various stakeholders in the ecosystem.
Gabriel Emmanuel is an assistant manager of Startup Africa, and here shares how an incubation hub play a significant role to shape innovative ideas of startup companies and innovators as well.
We do have 3 pillars on how we support innovators and entrepreneurs in Tanzania. So we have programs at the university where we train students from ideation to prototyping and building business, actually going to market. But also we have another pillar which is incubating, so providing them with support, which is mentorship and access to fund. And third is to work with partners. So we work with partners and for partners to deliver programs that are centered in supporting startups and entrepreneurs to build businesses.
A few weeks ago, the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology through COSTECH launched the Samia Commercialization Fund, which enables innovators to access affordable loans to finance their innovative ideas. Peter Mganga, TBC News, Dar es Salaam.
Now, before we wind up local news, let's have a look at today's exchange rates according to the Bank of Tanzania, BOT. Now, let's have a look at the sports news, whereby Director of Dar es Salaam Basketball Association, Fatma Yasoda, says promotion of the game has been a key factor for the increase of the number of women basketball teams participating in the Dar es Salaam Basketball League. Yasoda told TBC News in Dar es Salaam that the influx of women basketball teams has made Dar es Salaam Basketball League more attractive and competitive, and that will make the region do well in the coming national championship competition.
All the teams that will achieve will get more achievement and development to their team. Not only the people who are helping them, but it will help all over the countries. Like women itself, it will grow up, and even men themselves, they will help women to achieve more.
Dar es Salaam Basketball League plans to take place next month, attracting 16 women basketball teams. That's it for sports. And now, before we wind up the news bulletin for tonight, let's have a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours.
I'm Godfrey Kazinja, presented to you 24 weather forecast from Tanzania Meteorological Authority. Wind flow patterns, average wind speed expected to proceed over most part of our country, and distribution of rainfall signal are over some part of our country. For tonight, we expect future partly cloudy conditions, thunder shower over Furia over the Lake Victoria Basin and western part of our country. Northern Eastern Highland, entire coast, including Morogoro region, expect future rain shower over Furia, and the rest part expect future partly cloudy condition. For tomorrow, we expect future partly cloudy condition, thunder shower over Furia in sun period over the Lake Victoria Basin, western part, Northern Eastern Highland, entire coast, including Morogoro region, while Southern Western Highland, together with Ruvuma region, expect to feature light rain shower over Furia in sun period. Singida and Dodoma expect future partly cloudy condition and long sun period. Let's have a look for the 4 days weather forecast for some part of our country, starting from the day after tomorrow. Dar es Salaam expect future rain shower for 26th and 27th, while 28th and 29th expect future thunder shower. Dodoma expect future partly cloudy condition, while Mbeya expect future partly cloudy condition. Mwanza expect future thunder shower over Furia for 26th and 29th, while 27th expect to feature thunderstorms. Kilimanjaro region expect future light rain shower 26th, and Morogoro expect future rain shower for 26th and 27th, while 28th and 29th expect future thunder shower. Arusha expect future light rain shower 26th. Dear viewer, we thank you for watching us and have a good night.
On that note, we're ending our news bulletin for tonight, but don't miss our next bulletin in Kiswahili at 11 p.m. I am Faida Gaga. Good night.